Hello and welcome to Spartan Life Radio. I'm your host, Cheryl Wilkerson. So glad to be with you on a Sunday afternoon. It's a great way to spend the Sunday afternoon. And when I tell you about today's guest, oh my goodness, you're going to be glued to the radio or the streaming service or however you get this, okay? Her name is Pavar Snipes. She's well known here in 757. You know, I was thinking about Pavar this morning. I was like, where would I have been without her? Because many times I could not do my talk show that I had to do. All I had to do was call Pavar and she was there. Not only that, she helped me produce my news, especially when I had a split shift and I hated doing a split shift and she made it so much better. Pavar Snipes is now all over the world, Hollywood, New York, California, just everywhere doing everything. And she's right here on Spartan Life Radio this morning. How are you?
Hey, good. Hey, Cheryl, it is so great to hear from you and talk to you. Thank you for having me. What's up, Spartan Life? NSU 757 VA, Hampton Roads. It is just so good to chat for a little bit. I'm doing great.
So people know you from Wavy TV 10. People know you from iHeartMedia. People know you from Channel 3. People know you from WNBC, ABC 7 in New York, Studio Center as an artist, 103. I mean, just everywhere. Pavar, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Gosh, when you put it like that, I guess I have been a few places, huh?
Yes, you have.
I've been a little busy.
And so I want to dig into your brain today, okay? This afternoon, I should say this. Okay, so when I met you, you came to the radio station where I was working at the time. And like I said, you helped me produce my news and you were doing other stuff at the radio station and everything. But when you were doing that, Pavar, was it in your brain already that I'm going to be a writer at the BBC? I'm going to voice these parts that the world will know me and know my talents and I'll represent people. And I mean, was that already in your brain that I'm going to quit my job? I'm going to get in my drop top. I'm going to drive across America. I mean, was all that in your brain?
You know what? In a lot of ways, I can say that it was. My mom would quickly tell you, both my parents would quickly tell you that I always wanted to be in the arts. I always wanted to be a comedian in my own way. She would tell you I was 5 years old and was obsessed with Saturday Night Live and the Carol Burnett show. And as a kid, I did a lot of plays and stuff in New York because I was born in Brooklyn. And I did a lot of plays as a kid in New York, and I would always go for the parts that had the most lines. So it certainly was always there. And even when I was in college, I immediately gravitated towards not only journalism, but like we had our own TV news magazine that I gravitated towards. Now, did I know that I would end up becoming a stand-up comedian and doing some of the specific things I am doing now? Not necessarily, but the seeds were certainly planted in me at a very young age.
And so you went about that was always in the back of your mind. So you went about the tributaries, as I call it, but the mainstream, you knew what you wanted to do. And so subbing for me, doing a talk show or producing a newscast or whatever, that was keeping you in the room, in the vein, but you knew it was more out there for Pavar Snipes.
Absolutely. When I would come in and do some great work with you and substitute for you over at Hampton University and do some radio stuff, I always loved that. Always loved the opportunity where I got to, you know, talk and entertain and interact with our wonderful listeners in the 757. And I knew that you know, for me, there had to be more. And the thing that really got me to leave Virginia, you know, at an older age, because when I left Virginia, I was 38. And I had just got to the point in my wonderful job at WTCR News 3 as a producer that I was like, this is great, but I don't want to do this for the rest of my life.
Okay.
And if I'm not going to do this one thing for the rest of my life, what else is there for me to do? And I started to think about the fact that I always loved comedy, and I always loved writing jokes and doing little comedy bits on the Buddha Brothers Morning Show with Mike Lord and Big D and DJ Law and Rick G's. And I was like, I really want to do that. And so I started looking into writing programs, and I found out about I found out about New York University's certificate program. and they had a writing program specifically for television. And I looked into that, and I decided to do that. And just like that, I sold everything in my house, rented it out, quit my job, cashed in my 401k, and checked it on back to New York and moved in with a girlfriend of mine who was living in Harlem. And then I would spend a couple of nights at her house and then a few nights at my dad's house in Brooklyn, and I would go back and forth on the train. And I really was willing, and this is not something that everybody's willing to do.
Yep.
I really went down to the very bare bones. And for me to get rid of everything, move on from my house at 38, and move in and I was sleeping on a twin air mattress in my boyfriend's spare bedroom for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I did not have really my own space anymore. I had I had a big tub, plastic tub, and I kept some of my other stuff. And, then I was sleeping in my childhood bedroom when I would be at my dad's house. It was really a level of sacrifice that was necessary for me in order to get what I wanted.
What was your parents' response?
When I first decided to move to New York, my dad was like, no. Dads are always going to be overprotective no matter how old you are.
Right.
Don't. And, you've never lived in New York as an adult, and, you're not ready. You don't want to have to deal with the subway, and it's going to be too much on you, and you don't want to do that. Stay in Virginia. My mom was supportive because my mom knew that I was supposed to be a writer always. She always wanted me to be a writer. Mm-hmm. So when I came up to New York, the weekend that I moved, I remember we hopped in the car, we rented a SUV. There was a snowstorm, and me and my mom driving from Virginia to New York in the middle of a snowstorm so I could start these classes. So my mom is just always been ride or die. My dad was just a little bit more hesitant.
Mm-hmm. His baby girl. He got to take care of his baby girl.
In my journey, yeah. But I can honestly tell you that all that sacrifice, it almost seems like nothing now.
Because now
it was so worth it.
You are a comedian extraordinaire. I mean, shows everywhere. You have written and produced for, like I said, ABC, NBC, BBC. I just don't know where you get all this energy from.
I don't know either. It must come from God. Not even. Let me get backtrack. It comes from God, because otherwise, how would I do it? It's nothing. It's been. I've certainly been laid everything before me. God has before to make things happen. That's the only explanation that I have. I know when I moved to Los Angeles in 2018, I was in LA full time from 2018 through 2020 till the pandemic.
But why did you move to LA?
Oh, well, I got to LA because I had gotten to a writing program with CBS. They have this annual comedy program called the CBS Diversity Comedy Showcase. And so basically it's a bunch of sketch comedy writers from around the country get together, and they put on this annual live theater big sketch show that's a big industry showcase.
Okay.
And so I had applied to that and got into that. So that was like about a 4-month situation. So that was October of 2017 is when I left New York and went to Los Angeles for that. And then it went really well, and I was like, I think I should live in L.A. now. Wow. And so I went back to New York. I worked for ABC for a few months, and then moved out to L.A. In May of 2018, and started doing stand-up and started doing sketch and started doing character shows with my comedy group that I'm in out there called Women of Color Anonymous. And then I got a job at NBC Los Angeles as a content producer. And so basically I had got to the point in LA working for NBC LA where I was working on the Universal lot, and I would literally work and then go do a show, work and do a show. I was on stage doing either sketch, stand-up, or anything.
4 nights a week?
And still working, yeah, easily. And then still working full-time at NBC Los Angeles and going to auditions on my lunch break.
Do young people now ask you how you did it? And do you give them the real deal about how the sacrifice and the hard work, you give it to them straight?
Oh, absolutely.
When you give it to them straight, Pavar, can you tell right then and there by their response whether they are in it or whether this is not for them? Can you tell?
You know what? The reaction typically for almost anybody when I tell them the process of how I've been doing things is a jaw drop and then silence.
Okay.
And then it's like, oh, okay. But usually, you know what I found? The people who are really asking and inquiring,
Mm-hmm.
they get it. You know, they're a little bit stunned by the amount that happened, you know, over time, but they get it. If you're really passionate about it, you get it.
Yeah. That's how I feel about radio. You're right. If you're passionate about it, you'll get it. So you stayed in L.A. how long?
I stayed in L.A. I moved in May of 2018, and then August of 2020 to come back during the pandemic. My dad is out here on the East Coast. He's in Brooklyn, and we just decided I couldn't do any shows because everything was shut down. I was working from home for NBCLA, so we were like, might as well just, you know, be back on the East Coast. And then also there was a very big job perspective that I was up for with a talk show, which I shall not name. Mm-hmm. And it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. It was a disappointment, but there's a reason for everything, and other great things happened as a result of me coming out here. So,
do you have an agent?
I have an acting agent. Yeah, I have management with KMR Diversity, which is an amazing agency that represents people with disabilities. I'm specifically in the diversity department. And so I actually got with them pretty quick after I got to Los Angeles. I didn't expect to get acting representation before I got literary representation. I'm still looking for literary management, but I do have acting management.
And can you quickly tell people how that works? Because, you know, lay people will hear, oh, you have an agent, and they don't know how that works. They say, oh, they probably get a commission or something, but they don't know that, you know, don't you need to be, I'm not going to use the right word, but they need to approve that they will take you on, and you need to approve that that you will accept them, and that whole scenario?
Yeah, absolutely. Like my journey, again, I have been very blessed. And the way things have transpired for me is not the way it transpired for everybody. You'll find in Hollywood and New York, you know, people in this business, everybody has their own specific path that has worked for them. My situation was, like I said, I got into that CBS program, and I found a roommate on Facebook who turned out to be a really wonderful friend, a beautiful actress named Nicole Mejia, and we became roommates, and she was doing it in having a meeting with this agency, and then she found out that agency had a diversity department, and then she told them about me.
Wow.
And then she came home, she was like, hey, you should send them your stuff. And I barely had anything on tape because I wasn't trying to be an actor. And she said, you should send them what you have. And I sent them what I have, and they called me in and pretty much immediately signed me.
Wow.
Which, again, it's rare. So they signed me and immediately got me into some different workshops with ABC and NBC, and, you know, quickly got me out auditioning, and they're who got me on with my gig with DreamWorks with Dragons and Nine Realms, which is the new animated series. But anyway, so your agent is the people who send you out on the auditions. It's their job to get you auditions. They send you out to get checked out. That's what your agent does. And then, yes, they get a commission off of what you book. So they'll get, you know, typically about 10% off of what you get off of your jobs.
They get a percentage off of every project that they book for you, or is there a flat rate during? Okay, all right. Tell us
that they book for you.
Tell us about When Nature Calls.
So When Nature Calls with Helen Mirren was a very unique ABC network comedy. And basically it was the footage from the BBC Planet Earth series, if you've ever seen that. It's a nature parody show. And it was hosted by Dame Helen Mirren. So you would watch the show, and there might be some majestic eagles flying through the sky, and they're talking about their impending divorce. So it's a comedy where basically we take the animal situations and we find out what they could be talking about if they were people. And that aired on ABC. It was the #1 comedy of the summer, actually. It debuted in ABC in June, and then we wrapped up in January. Unfortunately, we won't be coming back for another season. We were streaming on Hulu and Peacock. And yeah, it was an incredibly intense, incredibly challenging writer situation because you're basically staring at hours and hours of animal footage and you're trying to figure out what anything can they be saying. It was different.
How did you react when you found out you got that gig?
Oh my God, I jumped up and down and screamed because I finally got staffed on the show. And then for me, it was amazing because not only did I get to write, I was also an actress on the show. So for my first signed project to be somebody who was writing and acting on it, and then acting alongside somebody like Helen Mirren.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely
Cool.
awesome.
It was a nice flex. It was a nice flex.
If you are just joining us, I'm talking to Pavar Snipes, and she's telling us about her incredible journey, and we are enjoying every mile of it so far. So tell us about Angela Baker.
Oh, Angela Baker. So Angela Baker is the beautiful character that I play on the new DreamWorks series, Dragons of the Nine Realms. Dragons of the Nine Realms.
Pavar, this is DreamWorks. Pavar, this is, you just say it so matter-of-factly, this is DreamWorks. Oh, my gosh.
Thank you, Cheryl. Dragons of the Nine Realms is a spinoff off of the whole How to Train Your Dragon series. That was a very popular franchise. This series is on Hulu and Peacock, and it skews a little bit younger than the films. The films tend to be for, pretty much a broader audience, very funny movies, whereas this series is for kids that I would say about 10 and under. It's for your younger children, but it's an absolutely adorable series that takes the dragons from the past, and now they're in the future in this world called Icarus. And a group of kids run into these dragons underground, and then all of the hijinks ensue. And my character is named Angela Baker. She's the mother of D'Angelo Baker. Mm-hmm. And Angela is a former military pilot. She is a teacher, and she is a disabled veteran. She's in a wheelchair, and she is just absolutely a wonderful, loving, warm character who brings so much heart to the show. Her relationships with her husband and her son are just so beautiful to see. It's a privilege to be able to play a character like this, being that I'm a Black woman who has a disability, being able to bring life to this type of character. I have so many wonderful Black female friends who are disabled veterans. So for me to be able to represent them in playing this character is just, it's a blessing, and it's a dream come true, and I'm very thankful for it.
When you auditioned for this, did you know it was for this specific part? I know sometimes I hear people that are in the acting business and they'll say, oh, I thought I was auditioning for this part and I got this part or whatever. Did that happen to you?
No, I was auditioning for the part of Angela Baker. All of the details of her were not fully revealed. I don't remember if I knew she was going to be in a wheelchair or not. I don't remember that part. Mm-hmm. But some of the actual lines that I did for the audition are some of the lines that I had to say for the actual episodes that I'm in.
And tell people once again how they can check you out in that.
Yes, you can watch Dragons of the Nine Realms. That is on Hulu and Peacock, streaming right now. And my son, D'Angelo, is actually played by Marcus Schruber, who you know as Junior from Blackish on ABC.
Whew. Pavar, I just wait for the post on Facebook, okay? So then I can sit back in the chair and I just scream. I'm like, woo, woo, go Pavar Snipes. And you are doing this. What is on the horizon?
What is on the horizon? Well, I've got a couple of things. I actually just launched my very own coaching. I would call it a comedy content coaching business. It's called Limitless Laugh. And basically what I do is I help people who either have a comedy script, you're trying to think of a comedy script. I help you punch up your comedy ideas, whether it's for a TV script, an animated series, some online content, sketches, maybe your stand-up material. And I just basically go line by line with my clients and help them find the funny in what it is they're trying to say or come up with some different punchlines. Maybe you have a story idea that you think could be funny. You're not really sure how to get it on the page. I help you get it out there on the page. I'm also doing some consulting in terms of maybe you're somebody who's thought about being a writer, but you don't know how or where to start. I'm here to help you figure out exactly how you can get into this world and navigate the process and make things a little bit easier. Maybe you're somebody who's of a certain age and you think it's too late to start. The answer is it's absolutely not too late.
Right.
And there are ways that you can get in and find ways, to be your creative self and to put your voice out there and let the world know what you have to say. There's so many ways to get your content out. And so I would love to help anyone who's looking for ways in order to make their voice be heard. I'll help you get it on the page. And I'm also going to actually start a little bit later this year. I'm going to start some kids and teen comedy classes as well. So they can come up with their own creative comedy character and sketches.
Okay. All right. I will never forget when you posted, I'm not going to say this right, but you're going to help me with it. I will never forget when you posted that picture of Beyonce with those twins. Explain that to the audience, please. That was so funny.
I was psychic.
Yes.
I was psychic.
Yes, you
I'm going to put it on my website.
Yes.
Also, my website, by the way, is PavarSnipes.com, PavarSnipe. So before Beyonce gave birth to Rumi and Sir, about 2 weeks before, I took a picture on my back patio in Harlem of what I thought Beyonce's birth announcement was going to look like. Mm-hmm. And I will be darned if her actual birth announcement was not almost identical to the one that I had put together. I was actually doing a Beyonce impression for a comedy class that I was in, and it was for Bayday's baby food.
Okay.
Well, I need to actually do that. I need to tape that now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, so it was for Bayday's baby food. And so I went into my class, and just so you know, if you're making comedy content and you want to look pregnant, here's a nice little tip. Use a bicycle helmet.
Okay.
Bicycle helmet, and I put that in my shirt, and I had a beautiful Beyonce wig, which is just fabulous, and I had a crown of flowers, and I used that, and I walked out of class not in character before I changed my clothes, and I came back in class, and the people in my class literally did not recognize me for the first 30 seconds, which was so funny. I forgot. I just walked out. But yeah, so I came up with that, and I had these twin doll babies that I was using.
Yes.
And so then I came home, and then the next day I was like, oh, let me see what she would do. And I took this picture, and I posted on Twitter. And I don't know. Maybe the Bay has saw me. Maybe Beyonce's following me. Maybe Beyonce is shadow stalking me. It could happen. It could be a thing. All I know is she put up a picture that was almost identical.
The way you hit that dead on the head, I'm like, she was following Pavar because it was dead on. I will never forget that as long as I live. Pavar Snipes is my guest today. I'm having a wonderful time with her. Do you advise anybody who wants to go into comedy, do you advise that they sit down and take some classes?
Yes.
Okay.
I love taking a class. You can always learn. Listen, you can always learn. I have been now staffed on a show. You know, I have management, but I still believe in taking a class because there's always something you can learn, not only from your teacher, but from the other people in your class. Mm-hmm. So my suggestion is, if you're thinking about getting into comedy, if you're in the 757, there is a great, what is the name of that comedy school? I'm going to have to look it up. There's a great comedy school that is downtown Norfolk in the Arts District that you can go to. Okay. You can take some comedy classes there. Mm-hmm. And then online, a lot of the big comedy schools that a lot of people before could only do if they were in New York, LA, or Chicago, they're now online. So you've got the Pitt Theater, which is who I got my SNL scholarship through in 2021. They've got fantastic online courses. That's the Pitt Theater in New York. You can take online courses through there. You've got the UCB, which is the Upright Citizens Brigade, which is a comedy school that was created by Amy Poehler and some other really funny comedy people who came out of Chicago, and then they created their school. And that's where I actually started my comedy career, was with the UCB.
Wonderful.
Take classes with them, and they have diversity scholarships, because these classes are not cheap.
Right.
Let me tell you that. These classes are expensive. And that's one of the things that, in the world of comedy, in Hollywood in general, I'm going to give you guys some tea right now. A lot of people in Hollywood who become successful come from money. Mm-hmm. They come from privileged backgrounds. Why is that? Because of the fact that it takes money in order to make it. You have to be able to pay for comedy classes or acting classes. You have to be able to, pay for what your look is. You have to be able
Right.
to be free in the middle of the day to go to auditions. There's so much money involved when it comes to even trying to make it in Hollywood in the first place that if you don't have some type of capital, you're not waiting tables and, all the other kind of stuff that people have to do in order to really afford the life, it's difficult. So if you're somebody who's a regular working person looking to do a full program at a school like the UCB or a Second City or the Groundlings, those classes can run $300, $400, $500, $600 a piece. And then you're taking these classes over several years.
Okay.
It's expensive.
Sounds
So
like it.
they have diversity scholarships. So you want to look into these websites of these schools, again, Second City, the Groundlings, UCB, and find out about their scholarship programs and apply because there is opportunity available for you. I got 2 scholarships from the UCB, which honestly helped me get to where I am now. I got 2 scholarships with them back to back. I got the Pitt Theater Saturday Night Live Scholarship in 2021, which was a brand new thing that was introduced where I got to take free classes. And then I also now, going forward, get special consideration from the producers and executives at Saturday Night Live as I apply to be on as a writer or as a potential cast member. I know that I'll get priority status, and I'm actually looking at my stuff. So there's opportunity, and there's things available to you. You just have to know where to look. And if you don't know where to look, you can contact Limitless Labs Consulting, and I will let you know.
Pavar, I just love you, and I thank you for coming on my show this Sunday afternoon. But I am super, super proud of you, and I say that I'm totally serious when I say that. I just feel like you're my child, and I'm just so proud of you. So please stay strong. Please, we are going to watch for Angela Baker, and I know you made it to the Super Bowl. We ran out of time. We don't even have time to talk about that. But again, give out your social media addresses or handles so people can keep up with you.
I will give it all. But first, let me say that, Cheryl,
yes,
I love you from the bottom of my heart, and I want you to know that you and the Supreme team and me listening to you when I was younger are one of the inspirations for how I got to where I was in being in radio. So just know that you have been an inspiration to me and countless other young people who got into radio in the 757.
Thank
you
for
know
saying that. Thank you.
Because that is a fact. So shouts out to you, Cheryl. Shouts out to Stan. Shouts out to Chase.
Yes. Rest in peace.
All right?
Yes.
Rest in peace. Shouts out to Herm.
Mm-hmm.
Shouts out to the whole 103 Jams crew and everybody who came before us, who helped us get to where we are. All right. So that's that. You can catch me. PavarSnipe.com is my website. You can catch me on the Instagram. That is Pavar Comedy, and also Pavar Snipes. And on Facebook. I think all the 757 is friends with me on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. They love you.
Me on Facebook for sure. And I would love to talk with you. And thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you so much. We will continue to look out for you and God's blessings upon you, okay?
Okay. God bless you.
Take care. There you have it, Pavar Snipe. I'm telling you, just so proud of that young lady, and she's doing wonderful things. You all, please check her out. Please support her. If nothing else, go to that website, and you will be amazed. That's really good. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I have a super special guest in the house with me today. You all don't want to miss it. It is Spartan Life Radio. I'm Cheryl Wilkerson. Welcome back to Spartan Life Radio. I'm your host, Cheryl Wilkerson. Okay, Marvin, folks. Scandalous.
That is I. It's like, which one should I call you today?
Yes. Who do you want to be today? He is in studio with me today because you know what? Some people canceled on me. Can you imagine that? They canceled on me? How dare they?
On the great Cheryl Wilkerson?
That is too funny. And I said, no problem. I will talk to Scan. So Scan and I are going to go through a couple of topics this afternoon and just see how people are doing. First of all, how's your body? Did you adjust to daylight saving time?
Listen, I didn't think it was going to get me, but this one
hit
a little different. I was like, hold up, how can the time going forward? I kind of understood the time going backwards, but when it went forward, I don't know. I was a little groggy on Sunday. I'm not going to lie.
Oh my gosh. Well, it didn't. I think I was prepared for it, so I'm all right with it. But you're kind of getting to that age, Scan. Okay, I know you don't want to hear it, but you're getting to that age.
It's getting there.
Get you. It's gonna get you.
I'll be 34 this summer.
Okay, alrighty. 34. That's an old man. That's an old man. Okay.
Enough for daylight saving time to put you over the edge. Goodness.
Okay. Well, something else I want to talk to you about, and it's kind of a serious matter, this war that Russia has going on with Ukraine. You know, earlier this week, the Russian people asked China to step in with humanitarian aid and military supplies. So the latest, while we are taping this in advance, was that China had not answered. But if you remember, during the Olympics, there was a picture of the Russian president and the Chinese president. So it kind of gave you the impression they're really boys, you know. But, you know, when they bombed that hospital, that maternity hospital the other day, Scan, I'm thinking, what kind of evil is this?
That's cruel. That's cruel.
Yeah. I don't even know if there's a word for it.
No, it's beyond cruel, and hoping for this to come to an end very, very, very soon, because it's
hope they can work it out.
Yeah, it's out of hand. I mean, it's really not even, to me, nothing to work out. Just simply let's bring it to an end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just the fact that he is targeting children and women and civilians. But, there are black people, let's be honest, that they don't really have sympathy for Ukraine right now, because Ukraine was not trying to help black people get out of Ukraine. They, you're going to be the last to get out. I mean, they were upfront with it. So there is a contingent of thought among black people in America, I know at least, that, you know what, Ukraine, we still black to you, That's what's most important. You're black, so you got to go to the back of the line to get out of this country where they're bombing.
Yeah, just speechless. I mean, it happened out of nowhere, but there were also kind of some events that led up to this, if people were kind of paying attention to some of the politics. And yeah, it's a tough one, but like I said, I'm hoping for it to come to an end ASAP, because it's stirring up a lot that doesn't need to be stirred up. Yeah, it doesn't need to be stirred up in that direction. We're already still, in the pandemic. We may be, pretty much leaning towards, I guess you could say, the end of it, kind of. But we are still in a pandemic. So to throw something else on top of that, a pandemic in itself.
But, I heard the other day that the pandemic had increased in China. So I'm wondering, is that indicative of what's going to happen everywhere else?
We're hoping not.
Let me ask you this. Are you going to forever wear a mask on an airplane or in certain public places?
You mean me personally?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to wear one as long as it takes for this pandemic to come to a complete end. And, the numbers go down worldwide, because you don't know who's traveling.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
You don't know who's coming in the country, who's going out and coming back. And so, yeah, and I'm going to wear my mask as long as it takes for those numbers to show, hey, we've got this thing settled. And we're not quite there yet, but we're a lot better than what we were this time last year, for sure.
So, Scandalous, if you get on an airplane and you have on a mask and nobody else on the airplane has on a mask, would you feel pressure to take that mask off, or would you keep it on?
Oh, no, I'm not going to feel any pressure.
So, no.
I'm not going to feel any pressure. No, I'm going to keep it on. And, if it's in them to stare at me like, hey, what's wrong with this guy? Then they're just going to have to stare. But, I'm keeping that mask on.
That's exactly the way I feel about it. I don't know if you heard the latest story that came out this week about Naomi Osaka. She was brought to tears after being heckled at the Indian Wells tournament. Now, this Indian Wells tournament, from what I understand, it's horrible. And I say that because the Venus and Serena, the Williams sisters, and their father were verbally attacked at Indian Wells tournament back in 2001. And their father was with them. He said it included racial slurs. And you should read his book, the book that he wrote, Black and White. But in that book, he was talking about how he, on purpose, when he was raising them, he took them places where they would get that treatment. So when they were playing, it would not bother them. The man is a genius, right? But he went with them. He said it was racial slurs and everything else. It was so bad, like I said, they did not go back until recently. Serena didn't go back for over 10 years to that tournament. That's how bad it is. Okay.
Wow.
And
where is this at?
I think it's in California. It's called, or is it in Florida? It's Indian Wells tournament. And Naomi Osaka was talking about how bad it was. She was heckled. She was talking about how she watched the video of the Williams sisters and how they were heckled. And somebody yelled out, "Naomi, you suck," and everything. So afterwards, she's been struggling with her mental health, and that has not been a secret. So afterwards, I posted this story. I have a news group page on Facebook, and I posted the story, and I got varied responses. There was one person that said, from what I read, a fan shouted, "You suck." If that's accurate, then I've heard that at the middle of school basketball games from kids. I think the real issue is that Osaka isn't well and needs to seriously consider if continuing to play professional tennis is the right thing for her in the long term. She's a very smart woman from what I gather, and with her money, she's already successful. And he was also talking about how an NBA basketball player named Anthony Bennett was forced to leave the NBA because of his mental health related to flying. And he says, he didn't want to turn on the TV and see that, she's gotten worse behind all of this. And other people were saying tennis is still such a racist sport. Other people were saying America is unbelievable. Somebody else said, you know what, we just need to stop supporting these events. But so it came down to, should she still be playing, or is she too fragile, or is it the events? Are we blaming her when we should be blaming the event? You have thoughts on that?
It can be both. She definitely can, use some more conditioning, I guess you could say, kind of like how Venus and Serena dad was, taught them,
joke.
In the beginning, you're going to have to deal with adversity. Mm-hmm. And, it's not about the people or the people that are coming at the people that are saying things to you. It's not really more so on them, it's on how you deal with it. Adversity is going to be everywhere. And like the guy said on your Facebook page, you can go to a high school basketball game and people are going to yell out things, but you have to learn how to block that out and stay focused on what you came to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, those people that are yelling out those words, they're the spectators.
Yes.
She's getting paid to be there. Mm-hmm. They paid to see her. She's getting paid. So she's winning.
But she is. But you think about the basketball players. LeBron a couple of months ago had to stop the game and put a fan out. Big old LeBron James, 37 years old. They got to him. They were talking about his children. So, these athletes can be triggered.
Yes. That's true.
And why are the fans so ugly? What are we getting from being so ugly to one another? What's the payoff?
I mean, it for sure could have revved up some with, everybody being out the house finally. What I see at the games, people aren't really wearing masks or anything like that. So it's kind of like, it's like starting all over. You've been, you kind of got cabin fever. You've been in the house for the past 2 years, and you've been on social media just watching all of these people watching. Remember, we had to watch the sports on television. They couldn't even go to the games.
Right.
So now they're back at the games in person. They kind of don't know how to, conduct themselves. They have to be taught all over again. This is how you conduct yourself in public.
Scan, I don't know if I'm going with that, because your mama and your daddy have taught you well. And a pandemic could come for 20 years or whatever. You, because of the way your parents have taught you, would not walk out the house heckling somebody. It's like these people want a free pass to just say and do anything. It's crazy, right?
And I agree with you. It's not a total excuse to, well, I've been cooped up in the house all this time, so now I'm going to come out and just yell out things at, NBA players or tennis players at their games. But I would say it just plays just a small portion, and the way that your thinking has changed, but I would say they've done the right thing, and maybe they need to step up the security at these events. Right.
Because especially if you think about it, NBA games, they're right there. At least at tennis, you have a little bit of separation, but at these NBA games, oh no. Did you hear about the mother that gave her son 3 homes and $10,000 for his 16th birthday?
I saw that on our Facebook page.
Is that not marvelous?
That's awesome.
She is a single parent. Can you imagine the sacrifices that went through? And can you imagine the lessons that he learned? And yeah, I get it that we want our 16-year-olds, wearing the latest clothes or driving. Do we give cars at 16? What do we do at 16 now?
I've known people to get cars.
I never did that. So I
bought my own.
There you go.
At 16.
It's a different feeling, right?
I was working fast food and I saved up my money. Now, it was only $400.
But it was yours.
But it was mine, and I drove it from 11th grade and 12th grade. So the lady, she was in the military, and she was being stationed overseas, and it was just my luck that she was like, I cannot take this old car with me. And she let me
you
buy
said
it
you're
from
how
her.
old now?
I'm 33.
If you all could see the pride on his face as he is telling me this story, this 33-year-old man, about the car he bought himself for $400. So I think this is what happens. I think about this a lot. We always say we want better or we want more for our children. But wealthy people in the world know that you can't give them everything. You have to teach them. So if I die tomorrow, my son or my daughter is supposed to know what to do. They may not know what to do on how to unclog the sink, or they may not know what to do if they need $5,000 to pay taxes on the house or whatever, but they're supposed to know that they can sit down and figure it out. So we don't give them everything so they don't think. We show them things. We teach them things, but not necessarily, because the pride on your face talking about that car right now is priceless.
I showed up at the house with this car, and my parents were like, whose car is this? I was like,
oh, you didn't even tell her.
I was like, excuse me. I was like, it's mine. I just bought it. It was in a parking lot of another fast food restaurant. And I saw it, and they actually wanted $600.
Oh, she took pity on you.
OBO, or best offer. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have some faith. And I called that number, and I said, hey, I'm 16 years old. I work at such and such place. I'm in the 11th grade, and I just got my license. I only have $400 cash on me right now. Would you take it? And she showed up, and she said yes. And
because she saw you're a hardworking young man, she knew that you had earned this money yourself, and she worked with you.
It was a 1991 Mercury Sable.
That you go right on, Scan. So yeah, I just don't believe in giving them everything, and I mean these lavish parties for birthdays and all. I don't think that's for the children. I think it's for the parents.
Floyd Mayweather made mention about that online not too long ago, how he said he's no longer just giving his kids money and houses and things of that nature. He said they have to come and work for him.
Yes.
And expand his his Floyd Mayweather empire, the money team and all of that. So, and I completely agree with him.
And these wealthy people, you see where they're not even leaving their money to their children. But even when the children are growing up, the wealthy people of the world, or people you don't know their names, or maybe you know the names like Bill Gates or whatever, they make their children work. I don't know why we get this thing where, oh, they don't have to work, they don't have to do anything. Here's a Maybach, you're 16 years old. What?
Yeah, no, usually they have their children work with them in the company already. So like you said, if something was to happen to them, they already know how to continue that company and keep it running, and not just, oh, well, I'm just going to have some fun and mom and dad are going to pay for everything. And if something happens, then they have to give the company to a total stranger or one of their business partners, one of their friends. And who knows, their kids could have been working with their business partner. So now they're taking over something that should be rightfully theirs.
Correct. It is a method to the madness. And I think maybe sometimes we get excited that we can do these things, but we got to hold back. Some black parents in North Carolina, I am happy for them. I am proud of them, I should say, because there's a school in North Carolina. It's coming under fire. They held a mock slave auction.
Oh, what?
You heard me right. The school had a mock slave auction. So there's a parent, her name is Ashley Palmer, and she was telling the News and Observer that her son and other black students at the J.S. Waters School in Chatham County were recently, air quotes, sold at the mock auction. So she put out a Facebook post. She detailed how her son told her that his friend went for $350 and that one of the school's 200 K through 8 students was selected to be the, quote, slave master, end quote, because, quote, he knew how to handle them, end quote. They even have video scan of students harmonizing, listen to me, harmonizing the N-word. So the parents are speaking out. I'm so proud of these parents. Because these children know their parents are not going to let anything happen to them, and their parents have their back. And I'm really, really happy about that. But of course, they've got, NAACP and everything in it. But is that not the craziest thing? Your child come home and say, we had a mock slave auction?
And what was the reasoning behind this? Like, where did this just appear? Were they teaching history, or what was this for? What were they trying to do? I mean, it's not good altogether, but...
Well, there was one social media post, and this white student posed on the ground while another white student gestured as though they were holding a gun over them, and the caption said Black History Month.
Yeah, that's, and here's the thing, just 50 years ago, we just became, integrated. So there's still obviously some things that need to be taught, so we can continue to move past that.
Crazy. The superintendent of the schools, he's a black man. He sent a letter to the families last week acknowledging that there were unacceptable incidents while he was promising to hold those who are responsible accountable. So I'm going to really stay on top of that. I want to see what happens with those parents and those students. And where are the students getting it from? They're hearing this stuff when they go home. And that's why they're so bold as to come out and do it and talk about it like that. It's no big thing to them.
I'll say one thing about social media that is good about it, man, is, some things that make it toxic. But I'll say the good thing is bringing some stuff to the light, things that we wouldn't have been able to see or we would have only saw on, a major network if they chose to broadcast it. Now you can't hide anything.
Right. That's true. I do have some good news for you. So Andis Company is a barbering, styling, animal grooming tools brand, and they're dedicated to empowering users to create their way. Well, they have this creator series, right? And the series highlights brand partnerships with creators that use their tools, right? They have partnered with the Compton Cowboys. That's a collective of lifelong friends. They're on a mission to uplift their community. They mentor youth in Los Angeles, and they highlight the rich history. If you don't know it, it is a rich history of African Americans and Western culture and horses and horseback riding and all of that. So these two companies have gotten together, and this is really great. Straight out of Richland Farms, the Compton Cowboys are blazing a new trail. They're reestablishing horseback riding and animal husbandry as an alternative path. You don't have to be in the gangs. You can come learn about these animals. I have an uncle. I did not know this until he was passed, but they told me he could, what's the word, Scan? He could break a horse, a wild horse. He could break it.
He could tame him.
Yeah. That's he could do. But the slogan for the Compton Cowboys is "Streets raised us, horses saved us."
That's beautiful.
And they had that story on Netflix. I can't remember what the name of it was, but the black cowboys and how the cowboys were helping the kids in the inner city. So this is really happening in real life, and we need some good news, right?
Yeah, everyone needs an outlet to express themselves and, go somewhere where they can be accepted and, amongst others that have the same like mind, and be able to help each other press forward in life and not always be on something that's negative.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Ruth Simmons is stepping down. She is the president of Prairie View A&M University. I just want to give this woman her props. Dr. Ruth Simmons is a Texas native. She graduated back in 1967 from another HBCU, Dillard University. She was an educator and assistant dean of graduate studies at University of Southern California. She then became a dean at Princeton University. She stayed there for a while, and then she became president of the hoity-toity Smith College until she went to Brown University. Okay? She made history when she became the 18th president at Brown University because she was the first black president of an Ivy League institution. I didn't say she was the first black woman. I said she was the first black president
Wow.
of an Ivy League institution. And so
Amazing.
Dr. Ruth Simmons is now, like I said, she's been at Prairie View because she wanted to go to Prairie View. She wanted to be the president of this HBCU. She could have any job she wanted. You see where she went? HBCU. And she's been in that role for 5 years. She's stepping down, but I promise you, Scan, we have not heard the last of her. Dr. Ruth Simmons, job well done.
Yes. That's phenomenal.
That is. It gives you goosebumps, right?
Phenomenal. I mean, great news for Women's History Month, and especially for an African-American woman. That is awesome.
Dr. Ruth Simmons, we shall remember, and we're going to see what she is up to next. Yeah, good news. So every morning, I hope you all join us during the morning show, because every morning I put out some good news story, because if you just look at the negative news all the time, you will go bonkers.
And it's a lot of it.
It is so much of it. It really is. It is so much. Like, there are these brothers out of Philadelphia, and they have a mobile delivery service. Okay, so you hear about all of these Uber Eats and all that. These brothers are like, oh, we can do this, right? And they're young. They are the co-founder and CEO of the company. It's called Black and Mobile. And recently they expanded their food delivery service into new markets. The service exclusively delivers for Black-owned residents. They serve New York City and Los Angeles.
We are learning that we are better together. I'm gonna keep it like that. We are learning, and it is working. It is working. So congrats to those brothers right there, man. I mean, if anything, we're going to eat.
Yeah,
we're
going to eat.
I know I am. So, and we've been delivering for companies for a very long time. So to have our own that's a great thing.
Well, they say they want to be in every city in the nation, but right now they have 90 restaurants across the nation that they deliver for, Black-owned. I love it. Just look for the good news. That's all I'm telling you. Just look for the good news. It's out there. Young people, older people, don't fall for this hype and this crap about it's all bad news and this crap about we don't work together. We do work together.
We do.
Crabs in a barrel, whatever. Okay, go get out of that barrel and go work with somebody. Don't put yourself down. That makes no sense. So anyway, yeah, just a good look. Now, I have to follow this up. It's almost time for us to get out of here, right? But I had to follow this up with a text I got while you and I were talking. And it came from our guest in the first half, Pavar Snipes. It said that she is going to be she got a text while I was talking with her. She got a text that she is going to be reading with Blythe Danner. That is... Oh, that's that actress's mother. Oh, I can see her. Who was married to Chris Martin, the musician? What actress? She's got blonde hair. Ooh, Gwen Paltrow. Okay. This is her. Gwen Paltrow's mother's Blythe Danner. Pavar is going to be reading with her and Richard Kind tonight. Just got that text that they wanted her.
Amazing.
Pavar Snipes,
that's some good news.
That is some great
That's some
news.
good news that we need.
Yes. Thank you so much, Scandalous, for sitting in today. You know what? I had a good time with you. I thank you for doing it because you didn't have to do it. And for the next person who cancels on me at the last minute.
No, it was my pleasure. Thank you, Cheryl Wilkerson. I appreciate you for, bringing me on and giving me an opportunity to express myself outside of my show that I already have Monday through Friday, 2 to 6. A little shameless plug right there.
Check him out. Check him out. Say it again slower.
Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. But no, it's always great to have someone to have some good dialogue with back and forth. So thank you.
That's right. And tell your mom I said hello, okay?
Mom, hi.
Look,
See you soon. It's Sunday.
I want to thank you all for listening to Spartan Life Radio. We had a good time today. You all have an enjoyable Sunday afternoon, and we will talk again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.